Recording. Excellent. Welcome everyone, and welcome to the usual Kubeflow bi-weekly meeting. Today is January the 5th, 2026. So welcome and happy new year, everyone. We are using these bi-weekly meetings to discuss on agenda topics. I see that people are adding to the agenda. The agenda is also linked in the chat. Soonish, we'll just do it now for people in case they want to add their agenda items. And we have this recording meeting. You can find it on the YouTube channel for Kubeflow. And as well, these meetings, as all the Kubeflow meetings, adheres to the CNCF Code of Conduct. Without further ado, so first of all, Happy New Year, everyone. We had quite a sort of, I would say, quite chill meeting on December 22nd. We went through some topic items. We are going to discuss a few of them more today. So I kindly ask everybody just to make sure that they are muted. So in case that they are not speaking. So from the last time, the graduation task. So we are part of the graduation topic, so the graduation package. I just checked that before starting the recording, we're still 16 in the queue. This is also a good reminder. I know that the steering committee asked me to do this as a reminder. Every Tuesday meetings, now the community meeting is always every week a community meeting. So we are not sort of like doing the alternance between community and graduation, because now we are fully again into the community meeting. During the community meeting, we discuss about the graduation topic. Also, a friendly reminder, the release team meeting is back into effect, and you can find all the meetings in the Kubeflow calendar, which, one second, that I'm also getting used to the new screen. So if you go to kubeflow.org, you go to community, you can find in this calendar all the meetings that are available. So today, this is the Kubeflow registry call. This is the community call that I've been speaking about. And if we go to the next Monday, as you can see, the release meeting is back again happening. Historically, we have been doing this meeting, meaning the Kubeflow Model Registry meetings, and now I should call it Kubeflow Hub bi-weekly meeting, just after the release team meeting. So they just moved on the agenda, so we will discuss later whether to update it. Indeed, for the Kubeflow release 1.11, we went through the slide last time. These are the two slides that we have decided that we are going to present for the 1.11 release. So this is about the model registry, and we have highlighted what is new. Indeed, the reconcile loop. This is the part that Alessio has been contributing to. And then for the model catalog, so this is the part that all the team, especially led by Paul, has been working on with Alessio and the rest of the team, and UI for the integration that I see working on. So what we did is that we marked them as the catalog pattern is present with the backend code, and the UI is indeed working, as you can see in the previous community meeting, but we don't have it released just yet. And then for the storage integration, the new feature is the storage job. This is the part that John, Sidney, and others have been contributing to. So these are the two slides, and we will need something to champion the video for the release. I've been discussing with some of you whether it's possible to create a very short video to highlight some capabilities. Just a friendly reminder, I know that everybody is flocking in back from PTO times. So here is just a friendly reminder. If you want to contribute to that part, I think it would be a great chance to showcase your contribution as part of the release. A friendly reminder, the release is always highlighted in the blog. So we have typically like a special place, like the last time we did some focus on the model registry UI and the CSI part. So this is a good way indeed to showcase your work. So don't let this opportunity pass on. If you've been working on something for the past few months, I think recording a 2 minutes video could be a great way to like this. I see here is Dan.
Hey Matthew, is 1.1 already released or is it
Yeah,
on?
it's already cut.
It's already been cut. Okay,
Yeah.
okay, thank you.
So the release has already been cut. It's been cut sort of like December. The topic is that now the release is moving to a calendar version based uh, cadence, typically around the KubeCon time frame. So now we are working on for the release material, meaning the documentation, the videos, and so on. Right? I see another raised hand, Heather.
Yeah, Happy New Year, everyone. So, because I was out for a few weeks, I wonder if someone tested the UI with the model catalog in the Kubeflow central dashboard. Because I know that usually there is some plumbing that we need to do in the past. I don't know if someone tried it on the Kubeflow with the 111.
But that is why we decided, I think that for the slides, this was sort of like
Oh,
a
that's oh that's why I was not there. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So when we present this slide, we say some part are kind of like already done, and sort of like we just wanted to just remind people what they are. Some part are new, like for example the model registry UI, like for example the reconcile. I mean, here is the additional changes that you've been doing in the
Mm-hmm.
previous release and this release. The reconcile loop is something new, so we like it this way. But just instead of saying a reconcile loop, I wanted in a slide to highlight how does the new things sort of like pertains to what we've been doing so far. And similarly goes here. For example, while the UI is work in progress, we have already the backend capabilities. This is the roadmap about where we are
Mm-hmm.
targeting for, and similar thing for the storage integration.
When is the 212, the 112?
So they are going to move for a calendar version based, and I think that they want to cut the release before the KubeCon EU.
Okay, so I make sure to add this. I put on my to-do list this task.
I mean, if can be done, since the UI I see that it's been sort of like iterated on, I think it would be great. Also, I have a point speaking about this later, but the key message that they want to speak during the release is that people are free to use the component also independently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just here what I'm trying to achieve is to showcase and highlight the work that all the team here has been
Okay.
doing as part of
Mm-hmm.
the release. So there
Perfect.
is no
Yeah.
pressure to meet exactly the risk. It's simply that it's the best
Mm-hmm.
opportunity if you want to share about
It,
what you've been doing.
it's just that there is some plumbing that Lucas and myself I can do. Is probably the one to just central dashboard because it's annoying, like to add the menus, to add the permissions, this sort of stuff that I will do. I put this on my list.
Good segue because actually that is the next item. So Eder, please stay here with me for 1 second. So the 1.11 has been cut, as has been mentioned, but I see things moving on the manifest side for enabling the UI by default because sort of like we have a model registry, sort of like a manifest already. So it's
Mm-hmm.
a matter of clarification on how we can enable the manifest for the UI as well, so that the intent here is that when people try to install Kubeflow using the Kubeflow/manifest, there is like a out of the box installation. It will be nice to have a default model registry. It will be nice to have a default model catalog. So I
Yeah,
see.
we can do both. You can do both things
Yeah,
together. This is what you mean, right? Yeah.
yeah. So, but also what I'm seeing is that on the platform side with Julius, I see that Julius is coordinating for some individual contributor to work on this topic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that I saw the ticket being worked on. Let me just also bring it up. So if you give me just 1 second, please, Cube for manifest here. Copy like so one thing that I would like to highlight to you and Lucas is that indeed also from the manifest side they're looking into this. So
Perfect. Yeah. Hmm.
maybe it's like what the individual contributor is doing, it's fine. But since for most of the part, I think it's a matter of how the central dashboard get patched for your things. It would be better to keep an eye on it. I think that
Exactly. If they are handling, it's better because I don't want to maintain, but at least I need to go there for the questions.
exactly.
Perfect.
You get my point. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I will be on top of this.
Thank you so much, Eden. All right. So far, sorry, I'm speeding through this one because we've been discussing this also. Are there any questions so far? Right. In case anybody feel free to raise their hand. So what else? We had the Kubeflow Hub cap. Indeed, is like finally we were able to get this one merged. Yeah, I know. Has been going on for a while. So now what we need here is to decide how do we want to best leverage this cap, meaning that we can call indeed we can rename this meeting. That's the easy part. We can rename the repo. That's also an easy part. It's a matter of how do we want to show up, in my opinion, on the Kubeflow website. So calling this one, I'm not sure why my screen sharing. Do you people still see my screen sharing?
Yes.
Okay, it must be some vibe coded feature of Zoom because I'm not seeing the monitor any longer.
We are seeing the cap
All
page.
right, thank you so much. Okay, that's a little bit strange. Okay, let me try to see. Okay, no, never mind. I had the feedback earlier and I don't have it anymore. Okay, so what we can do is that indeed we can show on the Kubeflow website something that more reflects what we're working on. For example, the integrations, for example, the catalog path and the MCP. Later, Chris has a topic about it, and so on. Here is where I would like the team to step in a little bit and sort of like at least flag on things that they see is like the most immediate action, because to rename the repo is only a request to the KSC and we can do it anytime. Do we want to first change the README and so on, change the documentation, do it later? This is the part that we need someone with some idea on how do we want to best proceed. In the cap, there are indeed the few things highlighted. It is an opportunity if somebody wants to highlight on it. So the cap, just as a reminder, is this pull request 907. Moving on, we have another cap that actually has both the cap and the implementation. So this should be an easier one to be doing. So we had the two repo caps. So these are caps that are only pertaining to the repo, and we are doing this as the steering committee has asked indeed some times ago, that when we have like directional change, not changes, but at least features that are spanning more broadly, at least to record that in a cap. So in previous iterations, what we had is that we were trying to find a standardization on how to produce these container images. I think that we sort of like converge up to a point, but indeed there's also some pull requests by Heather recently shown. Is like we can do a little bit better and try to do it uniformly so that we don't have like discrepancies in between like oh, the model registry image, or the CSI image, or the UI image, and so forth and so on. So these are the support for multi-arch. It does adds the signature for the image, currently something that we are not really doing. And it adds the provenance and the signature for the image itself. So how you can read this cap is there are more than one commit. There is one commit for the cap itself that describes in a document how we are standardizing on this, and this is the README with the changes and actually what is being done. And then there are the changes to the GitHub action. So here it should be an easier one. What I'm simply asking, like for the previous step for the base version for the Python model registry client, if people do want to take a look on it, my suggestion will be that we review it during this week. I am understanding that some point this week we are or beginning next week we are planning to cut a release, and therefore just after the release we merge this one. I'm suggesting it to do it just after a release, since that I don't want to jeopardize the usual release cadence that is imminent, I would say, with these changes, and therefore we can actually do like a test release or something, or like a sub minor patch release in case that we want to test it on. Because unfortunately, this all being based on GitHub Action, I don't have proper means to test it, and no, the Act cannot really do this type of checks. So, any question on it, Heather? I saw that you agree that is like a
Yep. And sorry for the duplication during the holidays. I didn't review pull request. I write some code, and when we're running the catalog, I see there is a missing image for Mac, and then it just regenerated the PR without
no
seeing
worries. No worries. Actually,
Yours is much better.
It's just something that we wanted to do for a long time, and sort of like we didn't go as fast as I wanted, simply because I didn't want it to step on toes of people doing the work. All right, so moving on to the next item, I have a bigger topic just to share with the team that here we don't have to spend too much time on it now, but I think it is very important. So we've been trying to throw bridges with the Kubeflow SDK, meaning that I know that both Sydney and John has been trying to contribute a model registry Python client inside of the Kubeflow SDK. I am also aware that sort of like we are reaching a consensus on how to do that model registry client in the Kubeflow SDK, meaning to expose and surface only a subset of the user API, and that is fine. So, first topic. Going forward, any new user-facing client is best to do it in the Kubeflow SDK. There is really a direction, not from the steering committee itself, but at least from most people that I see sitting in the steering committee, to just do it in the Kubeflow SDK. So I've been repeating this to individual people when I had the opportunity. This is the first Kubeflow Hub bi-weekly meeting that I have also the point to have it on record. So any new user-facing client, let's do it in the Kubeflow SDK. I know that there are some topics later on. Question remains about, they've been asking us what it will take to take the code that we have in our repo and move it over to the Kubeflow SDK. First of all, the first topic that I've tried to highlight to the SDK user experience working group is that we need the whole API. So we are doing a lot of extensive end-to-end end-to-end testing with the generated REST client. So first of all, we need to make sure that we have all the code that we need in that repo. But also secondly, it will be a matter of saying, okay, now every time that we develop a feature, it means that if we want to do it both backend and client side, it means that we need to send two PRs, one PR for the backend in the hub repo and one PR for the Python client in the Kubeflow SDK. And then further, if we want to end-to-end test it, it means that we need to check out the code from the SDK and import it back. They say the ML Experience Working Group mentioned that they do some sort of it in the trainer. I think that this is an aspiration goal for us. And because I don't see the point of moving the code and overcomplicating our life, even when we didn't have the first step moved on. So my suggestion for the group will be as follows. Let's keep on integrating the user-facing API as they requested. This means the John's PR that we have over there. And secondly, let's do now a due diligence of what it will mean if we move the code over. So, for example, I've highlighted a few requests that I have. For example, we need to be able to do the code the way that we need it, because we needed to do some end-to-end user testing, sorry, end-to-end integration testing. We also need to do fuzzy testing. So basically we use the client generation from the REST API, the technical generation, and we do some fuzzy testing on it. So these are all the things that I've highlighted to them. I would like that everybody that is being involved in any capacity with the Model Registry Python client to please highlight what is the due diligence in case that we need to move that code over. These are the main things that I could think of. Indeed, is like doing end-to-end testing, doing the fuzzy testing with this client, and indeed it will be a matter of solving how do we do the code checkout during our pull request, because it will mean that, okay, we need to run some end-to-end testing on our side, means that we need to take the code from the Kubeflow SDK, take it on our GitHub action, and just run it through. These are the main things that I could think of. Homework for everybody that has been touching it is to think is like, Matteo, you've been missing also this item, you've been missing also this, that we will make it more complicated. One thing that the Kubeflow SDK to complete the picture is that they are open to have the code ownership on a sort of like granular level, similar to how do we do for the UI team here, meaning that in a specific subdirectory, let's call it this way, or submodule, however we want to call it in Python, of that SDK repo, we can have an owners file where people that are owners in Hub, in our repo, can also be an owner over there. So that's also to complete the picture. I stop here. I wonder if anybody has any question. Sounds like that
So
nobody.
I guess one question. So this is just a Python client. Like it's not a client for any other language.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
The thing is that historically what we've been doing is that we wanted to use the PyTest for sort of like from a QE perspective to do this end-to-end integration testing. So it was very convenient for us to say, hey, let's use the infrastructure of the Python client to do, for example, fuzzing, to do end-to-end testing, and so on. So the problem comes that if we move the code, it's not really a problem per se, but I want to make sure that we are still able to have this infrastructure so that we can give it to our QE role peers and use it in the way that we've been doing so far, meaning end-to-end testing, fuzzy testing, and so on, rather than coding a request every time by hand. Next question from Ramesh, I guess.
Do we know, or did we do any investigation on how other teams are following up on this request? What I mean is, I'm sure if you look at training or Kubeflow training, or Kubeflow Spark operator in some of the other components, they might have the Python clients before. What are they doing? I mean, are they going and rewriting the API, new APIs in the SDK to probably map to the API designs there, or moving the code as you're saying, or some kind of a mixture of between in between. Maybe we can learn. I mean, if somebody already did those, we can learn the any pitfalls uh, from their experiences. If not, maybe we can some of us can take a action item to go, to meet with that community and figure it out?
So we already asked this question. Indeed, it's relevant. So the Kubeflow trainer is simply, sorry, the Kubeflow trainer is a code move, effectively, because from the trainer point of view, what they have is that their client, in the way that I understand it, is that the client, what it does for the Kubeflow trainer, the Python client, I mean, is that what it does is that it simply exposes high-level functions to do some Kubernetes operation, specifically spawning the jobs and so forth. So for the trainer, it was a little bit easier, and I'm not surprised simply because historically, if you see the roadmap of the Kubeflow community, they went off saying, okay, we do a trainer V2. So first they cut like a V2 version of their client, and then simply they move the repo directly in the Kubeflow SDK. That's why the Kubeflow SDK at the very beginning when it was proposed, and we tried everybody to jump on that bandwagon. I remember correctly that from Andre, it was saying, first we prioritize training, and that's fine. So that is for the training. I know that it is a more nuanced conversation for the pipelines, because pipelines actually they are trying to sort of like do that they have this ownership. Indeed, it's more present because it's sort of like the pipeline Python client. Again, to my understanding, is that they use that client, they do some intermediate representation, and then they produce some Kubernetes resources, and then they test it. So it will mean that for them it will be similar. It like mean that if they do a modification that changes how the sort of like Kubernetes resources behave in the pipeline repo, then it means that also they need to make sure on the SDK repo, the moment that they move the pipeline client, that is able to produce that image. So it's a mixed bag. I think that for the Kubeflow Model Registry, we are more similar to the same challenges that they have in the pipelines, because the answer that I've been received from the SDK, oh, we just do it in trainer 2, it doesn't actually match, because what we have, for example, is that out of the user-facing APIs, we only got accepted a subset of it. And indeed, actually, we have the test for the whole API. So that is why I see it more similar, a situation for the model registry Python client, similar to the pipelines Python client. That is for the model registry Python client. There is an opportunity here to do the things fresh from the catalog client point of view. So trainer will need to know, okay, which are the foundation model that I can fine tune? Here sounds to me like an opportunity to do the Python client for the model catalog directly in the Kubeflow SDK. We will have something that says, oh, how do I get the MCP servers that are available in my organization? Here sounds like a great opportunity for the MCP catalog client to be in the Kubeflow SDK. Storage part, we've been doing the integration for the OCI storage. I've already told to Andre, okay, I'm looking forward indeed to try to contribute the storage part directly in the SDK, and eventually we will just maintain it there. So this is why is a mixed composition. I think that we should treat each topic a little bit differently and do what we really need. I hope this answered the question.
So I mean, what I get is, we are still investigating what best suits us, right?
For the model registry Python client, until I see that we have ownership of the code, and until we really actually are able to make the first step in that repo, I don't see it that we can do much more than do the due diligence. What it means is that how it would look like. Did Matteo miss anything from saying, hey, we need to be able to do the end-to-end testing the way that we've been doing so far? We need to be able to do the fuzzy testing in the way that we've been doing so far. These are the things that I can think of. Maybe I'm missing something, so this is why I'm calling out for the due diligence. What I've asked, indeed, like that was the previous point. New clients, new user-facing clients. Let's do it directly in the Kubeflow SDK, and let's avoid this trouble. Hope it makes sense.
Yeah, Matteo, just to add something, probably this was discussed before, but I think the way that I understand that Kubeflow SDK are going to evolve, you'll be more focused on the user experience and a subset of use cases. So I think that this SDK are going to evolve for shared use cases and shared types, even between different Kubeflow projects in long term. That's how I'm going to see evolving these, right? I think the question for us would be, do you need this user-facing SDK for the Kubeflow that I understand for the ML experience working group that I'm part of? Just to be clear, that is more focused on the user experience. But I have a feeling that we also need a SDK for Model Registry, exactly like we have right now, with most of the functionality, with a bigger subset of functionality for other use cases. You get my point. Like I think there is, because for instance, if I'm doing CI/CD or doing some GitOps with Model Registry, I would like to have the full functionality. If I am a user, I would prefer to have a simplified version that let me navigate between projects on the Kubeflow.
I fully agree with you. And indeed, sort of like maybe the thing that you can help me with is that Andre is very focused on moving the code. I don't think that sort of like we are seeing from a high level, I can understand the question, but I think that is like we are missing the point. For example, indeed, we have some utility function that help people to move the model and register it in model registry to S3, move it to OCI. These are things that we can directly do it in the SDK because, as you say, it's more like a user experience type of thing. Truly, we can also use it in the CI/CD, but it's sort of like well scoped and sort of like it is very limited in functionality of what is needs to be done. Instead, the way that we produce the REST client that is in the infrastructure for us, this is the part that I don't believe that Andre is really fully assessing correctly that we have. So what thing that I can ask you is that if you can help me explain that to Andre, that we don't.
Maybe
But,
another point I can make here,
mm,
Matthew and Eder is maybe similar lines to what Eder was saying. Maybe consider explaining in terms of integration level APIs versus the user level APIs, right? So
Yep.
integration where like GitHub is one good example. There are integration between the components itself. Those are a little lower level. Maybe we clearly mark to the users that, hey, look, if you writing client APIs in your code, don't use these APIs. Go use the Kubeflow SDK. But if pipelines is coming and using the model registry for saving some metrics, let's say they could be using directly some these APIs, right? So there's a clear distinction between these two patterns.
Agree.
Maybe that's what we need to crystallize with the other
Mhm.
team, and and make the decisions based on that.
I totally agree with this. I think the way that you described to Andre is that our Python SDK for the Kubeflow would be in the same granularity level of our REST APIs, but with a Python wrapper, right? And then the Kubeflow SDK in the ML Experience Working Group is more user facing.
Mhm.
And then my suggestion, but I don't know if we can write those wrappers in the Kubeflow SDK for the model registry that are going to use our Python SDK
but
behind the scenes.
that is actually what a John PR is already is, and it's been staying there for more than a month. I mean, way more than a month, and we explained and we followed it up. So I
We can
think
try to explain again.
yeah, no worries. You know me, I have no problem.
Mhm.
I'll just repeat it every time that is needed or every time that people ask.
Let's
But
go.
one thing that we need, I think, is that we need somebody more than Matteo's voice to
No,
raise this point.
yeah, I mean, let's let us. I mean, maybe we can go to the community meeting, Matteo, and see what.
Yeah, this is what we've been doing so far between Johns and myself.
Okay.
We've been splitting the thing.
Another argument on this case is that the Kubeflow SDK API, it's much more stable, and there is a set of versions that we know that will work. And our Kubeflow SDK has much more plumbing and much more methods. So it's.
I fully agree.
And I'm sure that you already did everything, pasted everything that on other threads.
I agree. So okay, it seems that we have a full alignment here. Let's repeat that because I don't want to sort of like
Yep.
overrun on this one. Since that we are fully aligned, let's indeed keep pushing in this direction, and let's see which other topics do we need.
Yep.
All right. So Kubeflow SDK. Sorry, somebody put this item. I forgot who
Yeah,
put it.
this is just a shout out of basically what we were just talking about of that PR. So I don't think we need discussion on this, but just a shout out if anyone has opinions or wants to take a look at that wrapper.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that at some point we even had for them like the script where didn't we have like a markdown description or something as well?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly. Okay. Anyway, this isn't. I remember that we had
In
like,
in the issue.
oh,
Yeah.
in the linked issue. All right. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm also trying to remember before they shut down. So I think that there's certain point. Yeah, these ones. Indeed, like these are the things that we've been discussing with them, and indeed the reason why they've been asking to avoid some of them. Or for example, like from a user experience, they prefer that some APIs do not use polymorphism, and so forth and so on. So these are all technical details over there. Thank you, John. Anything in addition to this topic?
I think that was it.
Thank you, John. All right. Next one, we have Chris here.
Yeah, so this one shares a POC. It's a draft PR that presents an MCP catalog. So it just introduces MCP as an asset into, I think they're older images, so maybe they're not being kept on GitHub anymore, kind of thing. I don't understand how that works, but I followed along. There's a demo video here also that shows kind of how it looks. It follows after the model catalog look and feel, but it introduces it from the MCP server asset perspective, handling both local and remote cases, providing it in along the same feel of like searchability, categorization capabilities, the filtering on the left-hand side. You've got the new entry on the left-hand nav there. So the filtering on the left-hand side, I call out is kind of like up to what we actually want. I was just pulling out kind of key things and playing around with stuff. The PR is quite large and is not intended to be actually merged, but is showing the feature capability. So it's both the UI and backend changes all together. And if we look at the PR, it talks about like the different phases that I went through to do it. But in here, you can see like the details of the server, whether it's local or remote. If it's local, you'll get the OCI image, and some other things like the source that you got it from. You get a view of the tools that are there. They can be revoked or not, and that all lives within YAML-based sources. So it's modeled off of the same flow that we do for models, where we can have a default set of static YAMLs that come out of the box. You can categorize them and add more. So you can say these are the preferred ones for my organization. These are community ones. And it's just a tool for exploring and finding MCP instances within it. This one just shows the different filters there. You could see some of the remote ones. You could see the URLs for the remote servers because those transports are always available.
Beautiful.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Yeah.
Work, Chris.
So
Chris,
there's
go
the
ahead,
breakdown real quick there around the phases. So like there's the UI portion that I did. There's the backend portion that I did for how it comes together from the data you get from the YAML based source. Then there's like, how do we do all the filtering and merging, which is a lot of the stuff that we've been doing more recently in the model catalog when it comes to like overriding some things or being able to turn some of those things off if you don't want the defaults that come out of the box. So, and then there's the top level capabilities. So like having servers, having tools as front and center items within the database, and those are again, it's you don't have to review it, but you can look at it from the context of like these are potential suggestions and how we could tackle it moving forward.
Very
That's
good.
it. Questions?
Awesome. I think Eder had some questions.
Yeah, my question is where this is look cool. Why you don't start to review this and add as alpha something like this? Why you should consider this like a POC?
Well, so my plan for it was instead to take this branch and make individual PRs related to the specific areas so that they're smaller and more consumable. But I wanted, in case my laptop burned down, to have this stored and make it visible. And then also if people had thoughts or whatever, then those things could come in terms of comments and changes here. But yeah, definitely not saying, this could never go in. This is too large of a PR for anybody to really ingest.
Because I think I'll be quiet because I get excited on this when I saw is that this will be a good advertising for us together with AI Hub. Like if we launch both together.
Yeah. Maybe I think what we did, the cautionary tale there, Eder, is during the last year we did the similar effort with the ML Flow plugins, which was a multi thousands of lines, maybe 80,000 lines of work, and it was we found out at that point that it was very hard to review and merge, and and we didn't want to set that one as a precedent, even though we accepted of it at the end of it. We agreed that we do not want to do that one again like that. It's great that we can churn out that much amount of code, but I think what Chris is approaching is what I definitely suggest we take is its code is there. Maybe as individual pieces we can bring it back into the community. It's easier to review for the others and accept it, because obviously the UI team needs to jump on the board rather than this binge merged without our knowledge, kind of a thing. So it will give that opportunity for everybody to review and approve. But it will go. I assume this will go, not months, but maybe weeks to get it in. Once we agree that that's the path we will take.
And also, in addition to that, Ramesh, the most important point is not only that it was difficult to review. At the end of the day, we've been asked from the Kubeflow. So first of all, that was a request from the pipeline team, and then from the pipeline, sort of like they decided not to use the feature, even though we spent a lot of effort. It was like a spike that sort of like focused a lot of attention for a long time frame over there in isolation. So then the pipeline moved to not use that feature. And further, in the Kubeflow SDK, we have been explicitly being asked to keep away functionality that pertains to metrics and so on. because in the Kubeflow SDK, they not want to store a matrix in, say, model registry as a server as well. So the other challenge is that we are not sort of like doing the thing in a way that ensures that we have the buy-in from the other group. And indeed, as in addition to what you said, that it's also like a way to get the buy-in from internally, internally to the group and the contributors here, also to ensure that we have it over there. So indeed, like we can showcase on how we are progressing this in iterative steps, I think, and it's a way better way to communicate it to the other working groups, like the ML experience working group, the release team meetings, and so on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Chris. I don't know if you had any other call to action that you wanted to share.
No, just open and interested in any feedback from what you see if you play with the branch at all, or if you're able to watch back some of the video pieces more further for adjustments and or things that you don't like about it, so that we can make those changes as we look to bring in additional assets into the Kubeflow Hub. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you to you, Chris. And next item here, I don't have the names on it.
I'll just briefly mention this, kind of following on that MCP catalog topic. We discussed some plans to likely write a Python client, so we haven't worked on this yet. But for MCP catalog, when we have that, for model catalog, we do not have a user-facing Python client, and I don't think plan to, but for MCP catalog, we likely will want to have that. So just wanted to share that plan.
And we can directly do that one, I think, for the user facing in the SDK. All right.
Maybe one question I do have for Chris and John is the MCP catalog was designed such that generalizing the catalog we have for the models, or is it a um, additional catalog that has been added into as alongside with the. I'm just trying to understand the architecture behind.
So you can take a look at the code. I'm not exactly sure I'm clear on what you're asking, but
Okay.
the idea was there are a couple more like they are first class objects in there, right? So like an MCP server and MCP tools are first class objects, but it's all built and constructed around the same data models that we're
Okay, gotcha.
currently using.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you, John, and thank you, Chris, as well. Ramesh. Next item, I think this one, I think it's Heather. Yes.
It's me. It's just a note that I added a pull request that added the Y as a part of the Docker Compose. Finally.
Thanks so much. Thank you, Heather. I'm just laughing because I've been asking Heather and pestering him, let's say, every chance that I had. So thank you so much for
Yeah, there is a demo here if you want to show.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah, and one question for this group is because I know that the MySQL version doesn't work, right, for the model catalog and those features. Should we remove the MySQL version and just do Postgres?
For model catalog, yeah. There's no MySQL support.
Yeah, so I wonder if you should default just to have the Postgres because it's, on the Docker Compose.
Even for the registry, my vote would be yes.
Yeah, I think the decision is either we fix or remove, I think.
Yeah,
I would vote just stick with Postgres. I mean, we've got pretty good testing on Postgres with Model Registry right now, and Model Catalog only works with Postgres. So if we could just get rid of MySQL altogether, I think the world would be a slightly better place. But that's my opinion.
Removing something like the MySQL, I think it would, at least for the registry, we will need to sort of like give some advance notice though.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree.
but I'm not saying to remove the support for MySQL. It's to remove for the Docker Compose only.
So, but the Docker Compose, if I remember correctly, sort of like has by default Postgres, but also allows you to have the Docker Compose for Model Registry or the
In
MySQL,
MySQL.
which is the one that we're
May-
using so far.
So
So
Maybe. Okay.
the history of the Compose though is that we added the Postgres capability when we didn't have any Postgres backend to the model catalog kind of thing. So you could use either MySQL or Postgres with the registry. And then when we added a Postgres backend for the model catalog, then we got to a state where if you used MySQL, it didn't also run like a Postgres for model registry. So I think if we're going to just make it clean for what we're using from a developer aspect, I don't see a problem.
Yeah, because
the Postgres.
it's the
I mean,
Y
that's
right
MySQL
now.
portion.
Yeah, the Y requires the catalog and require the Postgres to work right now.
okay. So we want to say that for the Docker Compose and the Docker Compose only, the default will be Postgres, and we're going to remove any sort of like traces from MySQL, but limiting that one for the Docker Compose only.
Yes, that would be my suggestion, or at least document that are the use case. That would be fine as well. I can send a pull request with both.
Okay, so in case sort of like we can say to people, hey, it's like if you really want to have a Docker Compose that uses Model Registry with MySQL and catalog with Postgres, sort of like you're on your own. We are not obliged to do like this for Docker Compose because anyway the manifests are what counts.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to understand what we wanted to assess from user sort of like local developer experience point of view, excluding the tilt sort of like a setup.
Makes sense. Is one question I do have is I know we've been when we were supporting the Google metadata, we were supporting a older version of MySQL with the native authentication. Now that we moved off um, Google metadata, are we still stuck to the same old version, or have we also upgraded our, I mean, at least for default wise, have we moved to a newer version of MySQL as a supporting?
I remember we discussed, I think I discussed this with Alessio, but also Paul maybe can remind me because I think that we just went with MySQL 8 at some point.
I see that's being the one of the bigger bigger problems we always had with the people coming and clicking and not having access to MySQL, right? Yeah, 8.3. Don't remember what was that version.
There's definitely a conversation about it that was in, that I could potentially see if I could dig up some notes for you on it. We have talked about it, so it wasn't something that we didn't recently talk
Right.
about. So there might be more that we can do, but I think we came to a conclusion that the version that we either were moving to or stuck on in terms of 8 was a good version to be on. I'll look real quick.
And I'll also just add that Deborati just did testing on additional versions of MySQL, and I don't remember the exact details from that, but she's got a list of supported MySQL versions. So
Can we move up so that we don't have that native password problem? That's what my
yeah, we're not
expectation.
held back by that anymore. We can use
Okay,
modern MySQL.
great. Yeah, that's all I was looking for. Thank you.
So if you all agree, I will send a pull request at least to clean up the Docker Compose for MySQL.
Yeah, sounds so that the group agrees. Thank you so much, Eder, as well.
My pleasure. I have to drop. Thank you, everyone. See
Thank
you.
you so much, Eder. And actually, we are running over time, so I'll just give an opportunity for any other additional item that people want to talk about. Going once, twice. Friendly reminder, every Tuesday community meeting. The release team meetings is also back in effect. So I'll thank you for everybody. Quite a rich agenda today. Thank you for your patience as well and your contributions. Happy new 2026 to all of you again. And I will see you in 2 weeks. Bye.